exciting to think that spring has got like a couple of weeks and done. In the meantime, though, spring's still doing its thing. Phil Duncan from weatherwatch.co.nz joins us. Very springy at the moment, Phil.
Yes, kia ora, hello. It is. Although my headline in the Farmers Weekly newspaper out next week is that spring is getting sluggish.
Oh,
It's not as springy as it was at the beginning, and we're sort of seeing a lot more high pressure. And I always say that the weather and high pressure zones are a lot like human beings with high pressure zones. As soon as those highs come in at this time of the year, we get a bit lazy.
yeah.
You start feeling the heat. Maybe I won't mow the lawns today. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll just enjoy the lovely day today. Well, the weather seems to be doing the same thing, or at least the season of spring is. As these highs are increasing, spring is getting a little lazier, and we're not seeing quite so many of the severe weather events that we got in September and October. Bang on track, bang on normal. That's what we normally expect. In fact, our ratings at WeatherWatch for the last 15 years, other than a couple of exceptions, mostly flatline in November because the weather becomes very consistent. It's another westerly, it's another bit cloudy day today with the
Yeah.
chance of a shower, but nothing big.
Yeah, no, certainly, and everybody calms down a little bit and starts looking forward to Christmas. Having said that, though, we have had a bit of a mixed bag. We've had chucking it down with rain in some parts of the country on the same day where other people are cranking up the air conditioning unit. But this is more summerish than springish. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically it is. Even in the South Island, so we've got this cold change. The South Island's getting a decent cold front at least every 7 days. That is normal for this time of the year still, but some of them are pretty cold. We saw a dusting of snow last week around places like northern Southland and central Otago. We got another dusting of snow coming in again tomorrow around the mountains and ranges. On Saturday, there'll be places in the South Island and the lower North Island that may not reach the teens as
Wow.
far as temperatures are concerned. So it may not be a very warm Saturday, chance of a frost on Sunday, but then in true spring style, it's warm again by Sunday afternoon, and by Monday, places like the lower half of the South Island, Dunedin and Invercargill and Queenstown, they could be higher temperatures than many parts of the North Island. So it's still spring,
Yeah.
but it's just not as dramatic as it was a couple of months ago. And I'm pretty sure the severe weather forecasters at Met Service have noticed that as well. They're probably being able to put their feet up a little bit more often at the moment with the calmer spells in between.
Exactly, and hey, no complaints in the meantime. You're thinking, well, it doesn't feel very summery. Well, that's because it's not actually summer yet. Calm down, wait for it. It is on its way. Dramatic weather, though, happening a little bit further north, and not caused by highs, but by volcanoes. Some disruptions, not just to air traffic, but to the weather caused by a volcano in Indonesia, I understand.
Yeah, that's right. There's a volcano just northwest of Darwin, and it is erupting and sending an ash plume caught up in the trade winds, and they blow along the equator from east to west. Whereas down in New Zealand, we get a lot of our weather from the other way around,
Yep.
west to east. So the winds are blowing this ash cloud away from New Zealand. It's not coming towards us. It's actually heading off more towards Singapore and Jakarta, but it's affecting flights into Bali, and
Yep.
it's very visible on the satellite map. We've got it in our weather video today. If you watch that on YouTube later on today, you can see it. It's a really large ash cloud. It's the size of the North Island. It's
Wow.
about 700 kilometers long. That is a very large one. You think about Mount Ruapehu when that erupted. The ash cloud there, I don't think was anywhere near as big as that. From memory, it was 400 kilometers at the most. I might be wrong on that, but this one in Indonesia is very big and now affecting flights as well as it produces these ash plumes in the sky and more cloud and haze.
And now, of course, you wouldn't want to fly through one of those things for what it's going to do to the jet engines. And as it is heading west, if it gets anywhere, Singapore, I mean, that's one of the big airport hubs, I suppose, for this part of the world. So it might get a little bit disruptive. What's it doing to the weather, though? What sort of impact is this particular volcano likely to have on weather? Perhaps not in New Zealand, but top part of Australia.
It's at this stage, it's not affecting Australia either, because traditionally you don't get a northerly wind blowing from the equator straight southwards.
Okay,
It
yep.
usually goes from the equator and it drifts out to the west, and then slowly starts to taper off towards the pole, the South Pole. So it takes a bit of time for it to do that. And at the moment, it's very much going westwards towards places like Singapore and Jakarta, those very, very big centers. It's not really changing the weather a lot. Although very locally it may produce a lot more cloud and darkness and thunderstorms. You can get very dramatic lightning storms out of these explosive clouds that go up into the sky.
Yeah.
But for now, it's not really affecting anything into Australia, and it may not. It just may be far enough towards the equator that it's always caught up in that trade wind that blows it westwards. So it could be a real problem for Indonesia. And Indonesia's a massive country.
Yeah.
A lot of people living in there crammed into these islands. And air travel is a major part of how you travel around Indonesia. And obviously from Australia going into those areas, one of the first books I ever read at high school was called All Four Engines Have Failed, about the British Airlines 747 that flew through a volcano of ash in the middle of the night. And they all survived. They managed to land the plane. It was a remarkable book.
Yeah.
These days, they avoid ash clouds. It's not good for the plane, not good for the engines, let alone the windscreens, which get sandblasted and you can't see through them.
Wow, I mean that's a dramatic book title. I'm glad that everybody made it to the ground. And hey, maybe not Christmas in Bali this year, but
maybe not. Although it could be finished by then, but it's been erupting for 2 weeks now, so it may linger for longer.
See how we go. In the meantime, it looks very dramatic on the weather map at weatherwatch.co.nz. Also, check out details of what's coming our way for the rest of spring and heading into summer. Philip, thanks for what you do. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Have a great weekend.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.